Hey, what's up, guys? 98 Sports Talk here. This video is obviously going to be on Fromm and Fields. I did one yesterday on Tua and Jalen Hurts, and what I thought. Both situations are very, very different in my opinion. Some of you guys might think differently, but from my perspective, very, very different. And I just recorded a video, by the way, on this on Fromm and Fields, and the video was 22 minutes long. So I'm going to try to keep this. I'm obviously not going to upload that. I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter. So let's jump into it. Obviously, I've got a lot to say on the subject, but Fromm and Fields, the situation is just so much different. You look at everybody wants to look at last season, and Eason went down, got hurt, and then Fromm came in, and the rest is history. Obviously, did a great job and never looked back. Eason could never get his job back, and so now you've got a situation where everybody's looking at Justin Fields and they're like, oh my God, this is, the superstar, Georgia's next superstar quarterback. He's got to get on the field, blah, blah, blah. He's going to beat out Fromm, etc. And listen, guys, this is not let me be very clear on here. This is not a knock on Justin Fields. And let me be perfectly clear, I guess. I love Justin Fields. Everything I've seen on Fields is he is like the real deal. All Georgia fans should be extremely happy that we got Justin Fields, including myself. I'm a Georgia fan. I love the fact that we got Fields. And I do think he is going to be a big time quarterback. Okay. That being said, though, you don't just go in and replace a really, really, really good quarterback in Jake Fromm. That's not how it works, right? If Jake Fromm was just an average quarterback, then yeah, we'd be having a different conversation where Justin Fields is going to, maybe take the starting job immediately. But that's not the case, okay? Fromm was able to take the job last season because while Eason had all the physical attributes, he really wasn't there from a mental standpoint. He wasn't nearly as good as Fromm as getting the team in the correct run pass options. He wasn't nearly as good as, I guess, reading the defenses. And obviously the coaches weren't quite, they weren't, I'm trying to be nice here, they just weren't as comfortable with Eason as they were with Fromm. And so obviously that's how Fromm, again, he ran, once he got the job, I mean, it was his. There was basically no doubt in the coaches' minds. But then, so we want to look at, the situation with Fields and Fromm. This is different. And again, it's much different than Tua and Jalen. If you guys want to check out that video, check that one out as well. It's a pretty interesting conversation. But Fields and Fromm is much different because, and everybody wants to hype up the backup quarterback and the new guy, the new superstar. And yeah, Fields is the number one rated quarterback in the nation. Number one dual threat. I got to put an asterisk there, and depending on which recruiting service you're looking at as well. But I'm saying Fields is the number one guy. I mean, he's a beast. He's a dual threat. He can, he's got a huge arm. He can launch it down the field. He can run. I mean, he can really do everything. And everything I've seen and read about him says that he's a very heady quarterback too, and he will be able to do some of the same things that Fromm did well for Georgia as far as, figuring out, does this play need to be a run or a pass, on those RPOs that the coaches send in. And, so again, Fields he's going to have all the tools just like Fromm. But again, I go back to Fromm is, Fromm's he's no scrub, okay, to put it like that. I mean, Fromm is a really good quarterback, all right? So you don't just replace a guy like that. So here's what I think is going to happen in 2018 with the Fromm Field situation. I think you're going to see Fromm starting. Georgia's going to have a couple cupcakes on their schedule, and Fields is going to play at the end of those games when Georgia's up, 30, 40, nothing, whatever it is. Fields is going to get those snaps in garbage time, right? And so that's where Fields is going to have to show out and show what he can do, show he's got a handle on the offense, and show that he can get his team lined up, and show that he can get, make the correct decisions on where to go with the ball. So that's where he's going to, show, what he can do, and that's going to be his time to shine. What he's not going to get is meaningful playing time in the beginning. So there's a big difference between, garbage time and meaningful playing time against tough opponents or opponents that you could potentially lose to, right? And again, that's not a knock on Fields. That's just how it's going to go because Fromm has earned that starting quarterback position. He took the team to a national championship game and was a couple plays away from winning the national championship. You don't just bench a guy like that. You don't just get rid of a guy like that was able to accomplish that for you. So that's why the situation is much different because you've got a very polished quarterback, a very good quarterback in Jake Fromm, that it's going to be very difficult, to take his job, quite frankly. And that's the difference, right? With Jalen Hurts, it was easier to take his job. With Jacob Eason going down, it was easier to take Jacob Eason's job because they just weren't the quarterback that Jacob Fromm is and Tua is. So what I think you're going to see is Fromm's going to get all the meaningful playing time. Fields is going to get that garbage time. Now, at the end of the season, and it's going to depend on how Georgia is playing during the season. Is Georgia undefeated at that point? Have they taken a loss? Who knows? But if Georgia's undefeated, the coaches are going to have more incentive to keep Fromm out there unless Fields just is completely showing out, which he could do, by the way. He is supposedly that good. But it's going to be tough for him to get on. It's going to be tougher, I should say, to get on the field because the coach is going to go with the guy that got him to the national championship, a guy they trust, a guy that they know is a good leader, and they have a ton of confidence in. So Fields is going to get some playing time, but he is not going to be the starter, and it's not going to be a 50-50 situation either, at least in the early going. Down the road, again, it's going to depend on the Georgia's record, where they're at, who they're playing, blah, blah, blah. And the weaker the opponent is, the more playing time Fields will get. The stronger the opponent is, the more playing time Fromm is going to get, simply because, again, what I just said, Fromm is just the known commodity. The coaches, trust him, and he is a really good quarterback, okay? So, but again, that's going to depend on Fields too, how good he looks. And let me just say this about Justin Fields too, and the reason I am so high on Justin Fields, and I am extremely high on this guy. He's supposed to be all that and more, okay? And the main comment I guess I kind of lean back on and I form my opinion on comes from Trent Dilfer, the former Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl winning quarterback. Trent Dilfer said of Justin Fields, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said he was the alpha dog of the alpha dogs at the Elite 11 quarterback competition. And the Elite 11 brings together, the top quarterbacks across the country. They throw them into 7-on-7 drills and they go at it and they see who's the best quarterback. Well, Justin Fields was the best of the best, okay? And Trent Dilfer is speaking very highly of him. So when you win a competition like that, going against the best competition, that tells me something. That tells me that, yes, you are that good. When Trent Dilfer says you're the alpha dog of the alpha dog, that tells me, yeah, you're that good. Okay, so this is not a knock on Fields. Okay, again, this is more to this has more to do with Jake Fromm being a really, really good quarterback than it does with Justin Fields and how much playing time he's going to get. Now, all that being said, what I see in the future into 2019, again, just what I've just said, Justin Fields is that good. I think he's that good. So what I think down the road you're going to see, once Fields understands the playbook more, he has more experience, blah, blah, blah. I think Justin Fields will either be on an even playing field or he will get above Jake Fromm at some point because he's just got more physical attributes than Fromm does. But again, and that's not a knock on Fromm. I feel like I got to defend Fromm. Fromm's an excellent quarterback. But Fromm, he's got that, he's got what everybody wants in a quarterback. And so it's going to be, it's impossible to keep him off the field. So I think in 2019, what you could potentially see, you could kind of see like a 2-quarterback system where, they're coming in and they are not in every play, but they're splitting series, kind of like I think it was David Green and DJ Shockley did for Georgia years ago, where, Green would come in for one series and then Shockley would come in for the next drive, and they would, alternate based on that, and it wouldn't really have anything to do with the score because they were both, kind of equal quarterbacks. I think that's what you're going to potentially see in like 2019, maybe 2020, something like that between Justin Fields and Jake Fromm, because I believe both of these guys are, I mean, I don't know if elite is the right word for Jake Fromm. I think Justin Fields could absolutely turn into an elite quarterback. I would put Jake Fromm like just below that elite level simply because he doesn't have that huge arm that you want, and he's not quite that dual threat. That being said, again, Jake Fromm has a very good arm, and he can absolutely get outside the pocket and he can create more time for himself. He keeps his eyes downfield, something he improved on that last season, and he can run when he needs to. So, again, Fromm is a really good quarterback, and it's a very interesting discussion, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But that's how I think that's how you're going to see it. You just can't keep a guy like Fields. He's too talented. You can't keep him on the bench, but at the same time, you can't take a quarterback that's as good as Jake Fromm and just replace him. I mean, that would be stupid because Fromm is really good. So that's kind of how I see it. Let me know how you guys see it, and that's why I think the situation is so much different than Tua and Jalen Hurts. And like I said, if you guys want to check that video out, you can. It's an interesting discussion as well. And if you haven't subbed yet, please do so. Smash that button right there. I'm trying to build up a SEC community here. Show some love. Putting out tons of videos for you guys. I enjoy doing this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.